Hey, my friend, welcome back. Welcome to the 8th and final week of the practical application portion of our intuitive investigations of being still and listening. I am just so excited that you've made it to this point. I'm super proud of you. I'm privileged and honored that you've allowed me to be your guide for this long. And I really do hope that you're finding that this work is meaningful and it makes a difference for you in your life. Today we're going to talk about work, and so we're going to revisit some of those questions that you asked a few weeks ago, or I should say some of those circumstances. We're definitely going to revisit the questions. So that's the first portion of this. So this week when you get into this, I would go through that first. Let's revisit those questions. What career path forward serves my highest good? What spiritual lessons can I take from my time at work? What can I do to honor or express my higher self in this work? Asking how does this path or career path serve my highest good or my soul's growth? And then finally, where can I focus my energy to manifest my soul's highest expression? That, in a way, is a little bit of can be an answer to the next phase, which we've been going over, which is what does path A look like? What are the lessons there? What does path B look like? What are the lessons there? So we are going to go through that again this time in relationship to our work. And I want to kind of this week give you a little nudge to think about in this experimentation. Go ahead and play with the experience, looking at the experience, your soul's lesson, and also the financial outcome of walking a particular path. And I'm going to play with that because I think it's important for us to get comfortable working with that dimension, or I should say working with all of these dimensions of our work life and our spiritual relationship to them all. Because like I was talking about earlier, one, we identify very closely with our work. Culturally, a lot of times what we do to make money is a way we identify ourselves. That's one thing. But the second thing, is because we are so materially focused, I think it's important for us to do that spiritual look and see if there are pathways available to us where there is alignment, but recognize that there's a difference between living a comfortable life, or I should say having our basic needs met. That's one dimension, or not having them met. 2, living a comfortable life. And 3, living a life of maybe opulence or more than we need, So I know there's a spectrum of that, but I think it's important for us to lean into and feel into, well, what does that look and feel like intuitively from a soul level? Is there a sweet spot? Is there a happy medium? Is there a lesson that I'm learning from, one of these paths? I think it's important for us to investigate and to look at that. So go ahead and add that element in this week. You should be well practiced at this point in looking at path A. What's the experience or the outcome? What are the spiritual lessons or growth that come from that? And in this case, because we're talking about work and a lot of times what we do to energy exchange, what is the financial outcome? Go ahead and lean into energetically what's going on financially in this work, and how does that show up? And allow that to kind of inform your investigating. I don't want to abandon that, thinking about money altogether, because obviously this is just part of the world that we live in. Maybe someday, there will be enough shifting where it becomes not what it is today, but it's where we're at. But I want to go back to one of my favorite Jesus quotes ever. And this one's stuck with me. Jesus talks about, you cannot serve both God and money, or I believe Mammon was the original term, which, if I remember correctly, Mammon, I think is a Hebrew term that is kind of like fame and fortune put together. like fame and fortune. But Jesus says you cannot serve both God and money. You cannot serve both God and mammon. Because he says you can't serve two masters, because you'll love one and hate the other. I think that's so fascinating, and I get it. And there's that I think that teaching has had a profound impact on, at least on me and my thinking about my commitment to my spiritual path and my commitment to the spiritual path. I want to serve God's loving awareness. I want to serve and cultivate that part of my connection to that first and foremost. Because if we look out into the world, we see what happens when we serve mammon or fame and fortune over all other things. We compromise ourselves, we compromise our bodies, we compromise our integrity, we compromise our values and our principles in pursuit of fame and fortune. People do it all the time. And people also do a lot of awful things to other people to preserve fame and fortune. So with those things in mind, I want to do my best to convey how important it has been to me to remain fixated on my spiritual growth first and foremost. Going back to that, seeking what is loving, what is true, what is wise, and accepting what is meant for us will follow. That is the philosophy that I've developed in this process. And it still goes the same for material things. I've had a lot of opportunities in my life at this point to sell out, I would call it, for either money or access to power or to climb a ladder of some sort. And at those times and those moments when it was very clear that my spiritual integrity and my soul's truth and the honesty of who and what I am, when that felt like it was being compromised or something was going to take that out of alignment, I've made choices to walk away from projects or remove myself from situations so that those spiritual lessons could be learned between myself and the other people. And I remain committed to the path of love and of truth and wisdom. And I'm not saying I've been perfect in that at all, but I'm saying that there are big moments in my life where I have met those crossroads, and it is thanks to this work that over time, more often than not, it's just so easy to identify where that path is moving forward. And I just have to thank this work for that. And so every day is a process of stepping closer and closer towards that alignment, that spiritual alignment. And so I appreciate these tools for that reason, and that's why I'm excited to share them with you. So when looking at your career and your work and what you do for money, go ahead and experiment with those questions. What does it look like if I go down path A? What does it look like if I go down path B? What are the spiritual lessons I learned from path A and path B? And then also, what are the financial lessons I learned from path A and path B? And what might be kind of interesting is you might find that what you think is the path of fame and fortune could be a very compromising path for you kind of in a spiritual sense. But then if you go down a path that's maybe a little more moderate, or a little more rooted and anchored in your truth, that you find out actually that path financially is pretty good too. Or you're going to have what you need. You're going to be taken care of. You're going to be comfortable. That God is going to provide for you, and the universe is going to take care of you. Those are important lessons to work through and understand, especially in a culture that is so fixated on money and stuff. So I feel like there's a lot of rich investigating to be done here, and I hope that it serves you on your path. So happy investigating. Enjoy being still and listening this week. Get into those initial questions about which path serves your highest good, what lessons can you learn, How can you honor and express your higher self in your, work that you do in exchange for money? And then investigate and play with all the different potential paths and what that might bring about for you. See what comes in. And when you do that for the next week, go ahead and click into the next video. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to send you off because this is the last week that we're going to spend together. So whenever you're ready and you're ready to kind of sign off and close the last chapter of this book and move on into the world, living, breathing your own unique version of loving awareness and God's loving truth into the world in the way that you're going to do it. When you're ready to do that, click into the next video. We'll close down this beautiful journey that we've taken together, and we'll talk about what comes next. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you in the next video.